Please note, this video contains LGBTQIA+ topics and or discussions. This video is not made for kids and is not intended for young audiences. Hi, I'm Morgan. I'm in a really good mood right now. I'm in a really good mood. I finally got my boyfriend to sit through Barbie as the Princess and the Pauper, and it makes me happy because I know that people see Barbie as the Princess and the Pauper and are like, this looks like it's gonna be some very boring movie meant for 5-year-old girls. And here's the thing, I was a 5-year-old girl once, so I absolutely was this movie's target audience when it came out. I get that it catered to my demographic when it came out originally. But as I've grown older and am an adult now, it's still good. Like, I feel like this movie has aged other than the animation, it has aged well. And the writing is fairly good. Actually, I'd say the writing is excellent. There are some things where it's like, if a character had made a decision that's just a little bit different, things could have gone differently. But I think based on like the intelligence levels and what we know of the characters, the decisions that they made sense for them. And I love almost what I would describe as being the blocking of this movie, where it's like what the camera chooses to show, and also just like the characters' movements. It all feels very intentional. It really feels like it could be turned into a stage play at some point, or a musical, if the intellectual property owners ever wanted to do that. Like, I feel like this would translate very well to the stage. But Preminger is just such an interesting villain. I love him as a villain because he's like, his motivations kind of make sense. He's someone who comes from a peasant background, and he's trying to climb his way to the top through any means necessary. But I love how he doesn't ever sexualize any of the characters. Like, I feel like sometimes villains can end up behaving in ways that are like, I don't know, like, I feel like sometimes characters sexualize women, villains in media, and so I love how this movie completely doesn't have any of that whatsoever. Like, none of the female characters are ever, like, feel violated in any way. Like, I really love how this movie is super respectful to women and really understands, like, consent and stuff. Like, I really love that. Like, I love how this movie is, like, very respectful towards women, and there are women in positions of power in this movie who make decisions for the future of their country, and I feel like this movie does an amazing job of respecting women. Also, I love, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but one of the characters at one point in the movie is in love, but she wants to follow her dreams, and I think that this movie does a really good job of showing that a woman can be in love, can have a traditional romantic relationship where she's in love with a man, but still pursue her dreams, pursue her goals. I think this movie does an excellent job of showing that women can have it all, can have everything, and I think it's just really beautiful and sends strong messages in that way. Like, it's just such a good movie. I feel like the female characters in this are good role models, and I guess that makes sense, because I always thought of when I was a kid, like, Barbie was be who you want to be, Barbie girl. Like, Barbie showed girls that you can have an interest in traditionally feminine things, that you can be interested in, like, clothes and fashion and hair and beauty, but you can still want a career, you can still want to pursue other things too, like more substantial things. And I think this movie does an excellent job of teaching that sort of value, and I love the music too. Like, I love how it has all these songs that are just, the lyrics make sense for the characters, and they're just so loving and accepting. Like, there's this whole song about, like, accepting a cat who behaves differently than other cats, who wants to be a dog, and it's so empowering. And I really do feel like that can be, like, an allegory for, like, trans acceptance too, despite the fact that this is a movie from the early 2000s, and so you can't, how do I put this, a movie from the early 2000s marketed towards kids couldn't really have openly gay characters, unfortunately, but it's like this movie does, I feel like, have queer representation, and that it's like you have a cat who is definitely coded to be trans, and also like I kind of get the vibe sometimes that like Preminger might, like, rewatching this as an adult, I do get the vibes that Preminger might be LGBTQIA+, because we never see him show any actual romantic attraction towards female characters. It feels like he's always after the women for money, not because he actually likes them. And so I do get the vibe that he could potentially be either like ace or potentially gay. So I love how this movie still manages to show, how do I put this, like, kind of queer acceptance in a way that would have been appropriate for its original target audience. But yeah, I don't know, I love it. I love the costuming, I love the costuming too, because it is very, I don't know, all the characters tend to be very distinct from one another. I love Preminger's outfits because he's so, almost fuchsia color, it just stands out. He's a character who's very ambitious, that shows how much he loves wealth and material things. I think his costume just is perfect for who he is. I really love how Madame Carp looks kind of ridiculous, which kind of also shows that she's she values material things a great deal. Whereas Barbie as Annalise and Barbie as Erica, their costumes are both very, the costumes they wear are very elegant and pretty, but they're not over the top. And so I love how they're beautiful in kind of a more simple sort of way. So I think that probably also makes sense with if you're animating those characters a lot, you'd want their costumes to be not super duper over the top, I guess, but they just look elegant in a very streamlined way, I guess. I love their costumes for them. And this movie, I think, definitely taught me about compound interest. This was the movie that, taught me about debt as a kid. I know that, I feel like there are a lot of people, in this day and age who take on, really outrageous college loans with, terrible interest rates and have no idea how they're ever going to pay them back. But, I knew from Barbie as the Princess and the Pauper, hey, I felt almost knew to look out for that sort of thing because of this movie, because we actually see a character being just pulled under by debt. We see how debt completely can destroy people's lives. And I love how this movie really does touch upon economic hardship in a way that is almost reachable to young viewers, because Erica is directly impacted by that. Erica is directly impacted by debt, and also we see the kingdom suffering from debt. So I really liked the choice to have that as part of the plot, because that's the thing, financial hardship is something that does affect people of all ages. That is something that definitely affects many, many children. And considering, I know this, okay, this says copyright 2004, so that is a little bit before the Great Recession. But yeah, the kids who grew up watching this movie had to live through the Great Recession and stuff. And so I do like how it shows that hey, financial hardship is a problem. And I love too how the royal character of Annalise, she's very human. She's not some rich snob who doesn't care about her people. She legitimately and genuinely empathizes with the plight of her people and tries to find ways to help them, which I think is a really, really strong message. And especially we have the princess who comes from a position of immense power and privilege, and also we have Erica, and yet they can both empathize with each other. They can both empathize with each other's pain. They both want, how do I put this? They both have dreams that are at odds with what is best, for either their country or their duty or obligation. And so, I love how these characters are they're so nuanced. They're so three-dimensional. They're three-dimensional characters in a movie that's meant to appeal to young girls. So I really love that. I think the characters are just amazing. The characters are amazing. I love the writing of Annalise and Erica. I feel like I can resonate very much so with both of them, because they both, to an extent, they want freedom. They want freedom, but they're willing to sacrifice other things because they think, like, they're willing to sacrifice their freedom for other things because they think that's important. And, like, that's just such, like, something that I think a lot of people relate to. Like, yes, we have dreams and goals and things that we might want to do, but we can't always achieve realistically, or else we have to make sacrifices in life. And yet, I love the message of, like, still trying to pursue what you want in your heart, even if it's not, like, something you realistically think is going to happen. So, like, I love this. I love this. I love how Erica, even though she keeps getting her earnings confiscated by Madame Carp to pay off her debt, she still keeps singing. She has this dream of being a singer and will pursue it at all costs. Like, and I love that. I love that. I love it. I love the characters. I think the writing is amazing. The animations are, how do I put this? As someone who played with Barbie dolls as a kid, I feel like they do a really good job of capturing how would a Barbie move if it was a real person. But if you're looking for, like, realistic animation to look like real people, like, you might be a little bit, like, how do I put this? The animation definitely probably would be done differently if it was to be remade in the 2020s. Like, that's the nicest possible way of saying I think it does a really good job of looking like dolls, but if you want, like, realistic to look like real people, it's like it is a little clunky, maybe is the best way to put it. But yeah, I loved it. Also, I love how the animals, like, move along the plot. They're not just like, oh, let's give Barbie a furry friend to sell more toys. It felt like they were actually included in the plot for plot reasons. And, like, yeah, I remember having the dolls for this movie as a kid. So, like, obviously this movie had a bunch of, like, sell toys to go along with the movie stuff. But I do feel like all of the characters in the movie really were there to move along the plot and not just to sell stuff. So yeah, I really love Barbie as the Princess and the Pauper. I just absolutely adore it. And I'm so glad that I finally got Zany Pie to watch it. I finally got Zane to watch this movie. And, like, I can see that it's like, you see something titled Barbie as the Princess and the Pauper, and, like, people might not necessarily think this will be, like, the most engaging, thought-provoking film of all time, but it's really good if you actually give it a chance. So yeah, I wanted to talk about how I finally got Zane to watch Barbie's The Princess and the Pauper because it makes me so happy. And also I rewatched the movie, obviously. So, like, I love it. I freaking love this movie. Like, this was my favorite movie as a kid. And honestly, it's like, if I were to rank favorite movies based on how often I actually watch it or revisit it, like, Barbie as the Princess and the Pauper would be my favorite movie. Even, like, how do I put this? Even if it's not, like, the most, thought-provoking, like, nail-biting, suspenseful piece of all time, it's just a timeless classic that I, like, want to return to. Like, it's my comfort movie. So yeah, I love it. I love Barbie as the Princess and the Pauper, and I'm just so excited to finally, like, just get a rant about that again. So yeah, I hope you're having a great day.